Wait for it. Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, a stabby chaos coordinator, and one chief shenanigator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we are going to let our guest, Mr. Jack. You know what? I should ask you how to pronounce that name. Let me give it a shot, and then you can tell me how wrong I am.
Go for it.
Ruedisueli.
That was actually very, very good. That's probably the closest it's ever been.
All right, I'll take the win. And how do you say your name?
Ruedisueli, yeah. Jack Ruedisueli is nearly bang on.
Okay, I'll take the win. I really didn't ask because I never remember to ask. I keep saying I will next time. Every time I get it wrong, but one of these days. All right, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, it's good to meet you. I'm Jack. I'm based in the UK. I am the author and publisher of the book Mysteries of the Mount Moon Tribe. I am 27 years young, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing in this life. So I thought I'd draw this book, and now I'm here. That's pretty much sums it up. Yeah, I don't know how to elaborate on that point. That's such a deep question to start with, really, isn't it?
So, like long walks on the beach and, good barbecue. Wait, do you even do barbecue in the UK? Is that a thing?
When it's maybe like once a year when the weather's permitting. Yeah, I still haven't had one yet. It's literally just turned June and we still haven't had one. It's ridiculous.
We do have a, not too far from my house, a proper fish and chips. A British family retired here when they got out of the British Navy.
Really?
They liked it, and so they opened a fish and chip shop. It's actually pretty good. They bemoan that they can't use actual lined newspaper instead because they have to use like food grade stuff.
Yeah,
it would be better if it had the newspaper.
It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous world that we live in.
Is that as popular as the trope leads you to believe?
Absolutely. Well, we have like a weird sort of paper. We don't use newspapers anymore because it's probably actually too expensive to do it now in this country. But we have a paper derivative that is just as awful.
Okay. I have tried it. Like I said, I was actually surprised how good it was. I was sold. The only thing, so my first publisher, we talked about that on the pre-show, is British. He's from the UK, and that's one of the things we disagree on is the proper temperature of beer. But we both agreed the fish and chips was good, so that's a start.
What was the difference in temperature in beer?
So for me, like beer is ice cold. You drink it ice cold, and he's like, "No, it's supposed to be warm."
That's ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever. I've never met another British person that would say they want their beer warm. Maybe if they're drinking like an ale or something, but that's.
I've actually met a lot, so I wonder if it's a generational thing. Like,
I hope so. I would not drink my beer warm at all. No, sir.
No, and I don't know. People call ale beer all the time, so maybe people. That's a communication. I should have thought to ask, but for when I say beer and ale, I consider them different drinks. So I wouldn't say beer. I'd say ale if I'm drinking ale.
Absolutely, yeah. Ale is. I hate ale at the minute. Maybe that's just because I'm too young for it, but it's flat and it's warm and it's there's no excuse for it. It's no excuse for it.
My gut tells me that ale was when the British invented the India Pale Ale. They were trying to torture their soldiers because the heat wasn't enough, and that's why it tastes so bad. And I'm just not hipster enough to drink the IPAs.
It's a good theory. I would agree with you for sure. Definitely.
We did things over back in the day, just we collectively in the world when the water wasn't safe to drink. So. It has its purpose. I'm a snob when it comes to beer. I like all the kinds of frou-frou weird ones. There's actually a brewery out of Hawaii where the hops are grown on an old pineapple field. And so it gives it a weird little bit of a taste. And so their blonde lager has a slight pineapple taste that's surprisingly good. And so most people don't realize when they think light beer, they actually think like the piss water that, Milwaukee puts out, the commercial stores or whatever. But the difference between light and dark beer isn't, how strong it is, because light beer can be strong. It's how it's brewed. It's fundamentally brewed differently than a dark beer.
Oh yeah, I was completely blindsided by a light beer a couple of weeks ago, and it was literally 18%, and it was a blonde beer, and it completely ruined my evening. I went home straight away after it.
Yeah, if they're made right, they don't have to be that weak. Again, it's one of them is, and it's been a while since I looked into it. I used to hang out at the brewery outside of Fayetteville when I was stationed there, The couple the family that owns it, because they've since passed, but they were still around at the time. They managed to escape Germany right before everything happened before World War II. They were Jewish Germans, and so they came here, and they were so grateful that the army helped save them that they opened their brewery instead of if all the places they could have, they opened it near an army base, and so they'll sit with you if you ask them, and they'll tell you all kinds of cool stories about how. And that's where I learned, like, one of the dark beer, I think it's the dark beer, is brewed on its side when it ferments, and the other one is straight up. It has to do with what hops they use and how they brew it. Like, there's a whole big thing. Now I want to do some more research because it's an excuse to drink it.
That is an absolutely brilliant reason to do that. Yeah.
You know what? I'll report back to a listener.
In the beer tasting sessions where you have like a huge platter of like 6
the flights of beer. Is that a thing over there?
Yeah, oh yeah. My friend, he works in a brewery as well, and he's absolutely religious about it. And on his weekly schedule is tasting beer. So you only need a little bit of it, but he'll have the full glass, and that'll be his day.
Yeah, I enjoy doing those. The problem with that is there's no even if you go to the same brewery because it's a chain, it's still going to taste differently because the local water is going to affect it as much as anything else, even if everything else is the same ingredient wise and process wise, because a lot of it's industrialized at this point. Just the water you're using is going to change the flavor.
Yeah,
so it's always a fun experience.
I'm very simple. At the minute, my fridge is just stocked with Budweiser, believe it or not.
Okay, mine is Yingling right now because it's brewed locally, or not locally. It's U.S. beer that's brewed in the U.S. on the East Coast. So, and when I got it, to be honest, it was also on sale, which helped too.
Yeah, I just buy the cheapest beer. That's all I do. I just buy the cheapest beer that they have at the minute. At the minute, it's Budweiser. So
when I was in college, I played on a semi-pro rugby team where one of the things, because they offered us money or beer, we chose beer because it was an either or proposition. Now, as an adult, looking back on, I was an adult at 20, but looking back on it, I'm like, I should have taken the money and put that in a high yield savings account. But beer at the bar,
you would have just spent the money on beer. You would have just spent
probably,
the money on beer.
But they gave us like low end crap beer, and I'm like, okay, now I know why you're giving this for free.
Yeah. Well, lesson learned in it.
Yeah, but we got stories, right? Like whatever story started with, I lived a healthy life and ate a salad, right? Like where's the fun in that?
Yeah, no, there's no point. I always say that if I'm gonna on my deathbed, I will be glad of those ridiculous stories. Not that I had a salad and saved some money.
Right. I don't know. Maybe it's a banging salad. I've tried some that were really, really good, but there's still, there's something about going out for pints with your buddies that's just.
That's what life is about, isn't it? That's what life is about.
Absolutely. All right. So before we dive too deep into this interview, we do have to do the religion questions. Are you ready for this, sir?
I'm ready.
All right. Star Wars, Star Trek, or Firefly?
It's genuinely the first one is already super impossible because I just heard that they're doing I think they're doing a remake of Firefly, aren't they? With the
no, they are doing a season 2 animated.
Yeah, exact animated.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay, I didn't know that's animated. Oh shit.
Because like the actor, the black guy that was Preacher, I can't remember his. He's passed away.
Oh. Right.
So I think one of the other actors might have passed as well. So in order to do this, they would have to do it animated because otherwise you got to get stand-ins or take the story X number of years past however long it's been chronologically for us, take the story that long so everyone's aged appropriately.
So it's a prequel to Serenity then? It's not after it?
It might be after it. They haven't said. I'm waiting to see. I'm cautiously optimistic.
I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think that would be in third place for me.
Okay.
Well, I think number one would have to go to Star Wars just because of the world that they build. I like more diving into it. I've watched Next Generation religiously every year, so I've watched it about 5 times so far all the way through, and I absolutely love Patrick Stewart. He can do no wrong. He can do absolutely no wrong in my eyes.
Are you required to say that because he's British?
Yes, absolutely.
I believe the Home Office came out and sent that dictate out last week.
Yeah, we all had to sign a contract. We all had to sign. Any American that you speak to, you have to support Patrick Stewart in any situation. He is God. But it would have to go to Star Wars, definitely.
Okay, I liked parts of Star Trek, but it was always too utopian for me. I just don't think it was fundamentally understood. Did you ever watch the Orville?
Yes, yes. I
The
loved
opening
the Orville
scene,
was
like
fantastic. Yeah.
like we all make jokes about, as young men, what we would do with the holodeck, but more realistically, the opening scene of the Orville, where he's like just for no reason other than he's wearing samurai armor fighting an orc World of
Yes.
Warcraft style, like that's
Yes.
probably more accurate on how we'd all use it. And
I
then when
love
they're
that.
resting, because the actor, the human, not the AI creation, has to catch his breath, they're like waxing poetic on poetry and philosophy
Yeah.
with the guy that you were just trying to kill, and like that's probably more accurate on how most guys would use it.
Honestly, if you had asked me if it was Orville and Star Trek, my answer would almost lean slightly between Orville. I loved that because he got more mature, didn't he, in those later seasons, and then when
Yeah,
FX bought it, it became, you could tell how passionate he was about Star Trek, and how he wanted to make his own, but he couldn't sort of get away from the comedy side in the early seasons. But in season 4 and season 3, I think, as well, I just absolutely loved that
that's
show.
the good
I've
thing.
been waiting for it for season 5 to come out. It's absolutely
If you
ridiculous.
give it enough time for like a series to mature,
Mm.
I think it's pretty normal that you'll go from some of the comedic bits, and then once you develop the lore, it starts to feel more lived in. You
Yeah,
start to see more evolution like that, because slapstick will only last for so long before it just gets old.
yeah. I mean, it was still funny in the later seasons, but you just definitely, I loved it. Well, one of the main things about Star Trek that I loved was the like philosophy questions about stuff, with like the AI and like data and things like that, especially in Next Generation. And then when he started doing those, like with the Kalon, where it's the whole slavery thing and what does that actually mean, what we're going to do in the future. When he started doing those more philosophical things where you actually had to think what they're talking about, it started to become really, really good. I can't we just can't wait for the next one to come out. I love that show so much. I think I just have nostalgia for Star Trek, but I love that show more, I think.
Did you ever watch the Enterprise, the one with the guy that was in Quantum Leap, Scott Bakula?
No, I don't think so. No.
It took the Next Generation, or excuse me, took the original Star Trek, and it went backwards on the timeline.
Oh
So it
yes,
was like,
yes, yes, yes. I
yeah,
have seen that one actually. Yeah, I did
uh,
like. I could never. I did really like that one. It was just the intro song was just awful. I couldn't get past that every time that came on. And then I had that sort of wave where I really hated it and then really loved it and then really hated it. That song is just
it's been
it's
so
just
long since I
iconic.
watched it. I don't even remember what the song was.
Oh no! As soon as you hear it, you'll recognize it instantly. It's like burned into my brain. Yeah.
But like, it's so cool that the way they went backwards and they made everything look older and clunkier and more primitive
Yeah.
version.
Because they
Uh,
were planting the seeds for it as well, like the holodeck stuff, didn't they? In a couple of
yeah,
episodes as
it
well.
was pretty cool. I really liked that going backwards, like,
Mm.
because if your technology evolves, right, and so like if you're going to go back in time, if you just had the same, it wouldn't hit as well.
Yeah,
Having
yeah.
everything be bulkier and clunkier and less sleek,
It was more
I thought
struggle,
was
wasn't it? It's
cool.
more interesting.
Yeah. Plus the dog, Porthos.
Yeah.
Who doesn't
Well,
love a good
it was a
dog?
bit less utopian though, really, isn't it? That's why
It was
I like
absolutely.
it
It was
more.
more gritty, I think. Not
Yeah,
to
for sure.
like Battlestar Galactica reboot gritty, but it was definitely
And then,
there.
and then they had the Vulcan lady in there as well. That was also a big selling point for that, wasn't
For men of a certain age, it absolutely was. Um,
it? Yeah. I remember
so
going back and watching it. I remember some of those episodes where I was like, this is a bit interesting for Star Trek, isn't it? But then they were doing stuff like that in Next Generation as well, weren't they?
yeah, they would. So because we are polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, Game of Thrones, The Wheel of Time, or Chronicles of Narnia.
Game of Thrones, but only just before the last season. Not even the last season. Until the last few episodes of the last season, Game of Thrones. I've tried to watch Wheel of Time. I couldn't quite get into it, and then they cancelled it as well. So then, if something gets cancelled, then I just sort of ditch it because it's like I don't want to fall in love with it just because your heart will get broken that it's no longer there. And then
I don't
Narnia
mind
is
if. So my problem is I just want the ending. So
yes,
if they cancel it and they come up with a satisfactory ending, I'm okay with it being shorter. But knowing that you're going to get no ending, that's what I can't abide.
yeah. Well, that's why Firefly was so good because they ended it with Serenity, didn't they? And that was a brilliant film.
Yeah. Stargate Universe did that to me. They said, but they promised us, well, we'll give you the ending with the graphic novel. And then so I spent lots of money to have it mailed to my house on launch day. And then that ended in a cliffhanger too. I'm like, you jerks.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
worst thing ever.
And I'd still
like a
fork
good
out more money
cliffhanger
if they promised me an ending. They could probably sucker me again. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they know you're coming, don't they?
Yeah. So for you, for the fantasy side of things, did you mind some of the mistakes, like leaving the Starbucks cup in there or the bottle of water?
I hope not. I really hope not. I think whenever you do something like this, there's always mistakes, especially with like spelling mistakes. We had, because you have a publisher and they have readers for you that will go over it, and there was a back and forth about 10 times. I would read it, they would read it, they would give it back to me, and then it would always be like the number 7 in the middle of a word that somehow everybody missed. So I'm hoping they're all gone. I think there's
No,
not
no,
too many mistakes.
no, no. I'm not even talking about Europe. I'm just saying, like, everybody runs into that. Like, and then you'll
Oh
get
yeah,
some
yeah.
of the edits. This was clearly not edited. I'm like, brother, it was edited 27 times. People miss stuff. And so when I saw that, I like the joking idea that Starbucks is now a Westeros canon. There is Starbucks in Westeros now.
Oh yes, I know. Yeah, we're on the same page now.
Yeah, and then the bottled water because they forgot.
Yeah.
Although at that point, given that the Starbucks thing had already happened, I wonder if someone did that just to see if they could get away with it.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. That was a massive thing, wasn't it? But it's sort of makes sense in a weird. They could sort of pull that off a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, I've used weird names in books before, thinking when they get to the publisher they're going to make me change it, and then I forgot about it, and then it got all the way to the narrator, and the narrator was like, "Yeah, JR, I'm not saying this word. Stop it. Something better."
Yeah.
And so like I get sometimes slipping one in as a joke, not expecting it not to get caught and removed. So I wonder if that's what happened with the bottle of water, because that was the second one, and you would imagine they were more careful after the first.
Well, you can almost think of it as like there's no such thing as bad publicity, is it? Maybe they did it on purpose because at least
Oh, I
everyone's
hadn't thought
talking
about
about
that
it.
angle, but you could be right.
Well, I thought it was like with the Tom Holland and Spider-Man where he leaked something, I think, genuinely by accident at the beginning, and then he did it a couple more times, and I feel like, oh well, those are now like super viral videos, and now everybody's talking about this film and guessing what he's talking about and what that mean. So maybe the first one's a mistake, but then the second one they're doing some
Oh,
weird
that's a good
psychology on us.
point. I mean, if they did it on purpose, it's brilliant.
Yeah, they got me. We're talking about it, aren't we? And I'm gonna
still years later. And I don't know that we're going to. I don't know that we're going to get a proper ending on the book side. I don't think George is going to write it.
Oh, what, for Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I really wanted to start those books as well because I've been getting into reading a lot, especially after doing this. But I don't know. It just seems like an impossible task now, especially because of how the season ended. He's now just up against this huge expectation that it has to be better.
I know. That's why
he keeps digging himself a hole, doesn't he?
At least with when Robert Jordan was getting up there in age and he realized, he might not live to see the books, and he gave so much outline to work with that when Sanderson took over, like they were able to smoothly like give the vision he had. And if you're going to do it like where someone else has to end it, that's how you do it, not leave people hanging and guessing. I also wonder, because he has so many people and so many plots going, if he just wrote himself into a corner and he doesn't know how to end it.
Yeah, but he's taken so long now, he's probably forgotten half the characters
that's true too.
That it was like Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where it's all those balls with the lines drawn across it with the red string, with the conspiracy board.
Yeah.
I just imagine his whole house is just that trying to figure something out, and it's not happening.
That meme is how I imagine people that write choose your own adventure books plot their stories, so they make everything make sense.
Oh, that would just be a nightmare to do, I think.
Yeah, I loved reading them as a kid. If I could figure out a way to manage the production side of thing, I'd write a couple, just check off the bucket list. But like, unless somebody writes a program where I can just enter a storyline and then back up and then take it another direction and back, like, unless someone does that for me, I'm kind of screwed. So it's not going to happen.
No, but it makes you appreciate when it's actually written well, doesn't it? That you just
absolutely.
I never could do that.
I devoured those as a kid. So
absolutely, yeah. I used to read them with my mum in bed. She'd read them to me, and she'd be like, "Well, which page are we turning to?" I was like, "I don't know." And you'd always always have your finger on the page you were just at, just in case that was the utterly wrong decision. It's like, go back.
Totally cheated on all of those. I'd read ahead.
All of them, yeah, all of them. But they were really good. I can't even remember. I wish I remembered what they were called now.
I read the something like the Kai Lord or something. The Kai was a character. Lone Wolf series. There we go. But those actually had some math in there. You equivalently did math to see if you beat them in the sword fights, in addition to making decisions. Yeah, it wasn't quite D&D, but it was somewhat close to a one-shot, one-player vibe.
That's pretty cool.
Very narrow, and of course, then you cheat because. Of course, I picked the sword that had the +3 instead of thinking the other one looked cooler and didn't realize the stats didn't match, because you don't always know when you're picking which weapon is going to be better.
Yeah.
And so inevitably you just change your mind suddenly once you know, because you're a kid, right? You're cheating. It's just what you do.
No book is going to call me a liar either. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah. So, all right. So one of the crying shames of adulthood is we stop asking each other the important question. And thanks to the generosity of our sponsors, we are bringing that back. And I'm going to ask you, sir, what is your favorite dinosaur?
It's an excellent question. You prepped me for this one, and it's such a big one. It would be so boring just to say the Tyrannosaurus Rex, wouldn't it? It would be so boring. I used to love the Velociraptor when I was younger, especially with the Jurassic Park series came out. And I think the more you learn about it and the smaller it gets and the more feathers it has and the more it turns into a chicken, that it just becomes a bit sad. But I think if I was going to be... I don't know. I'm going to go Triceratops. It would have to be Triceratops.
So the cool thing is somebody took the Jurassic Park where the Velociraptor in part 1, where the first movie where he's got the kids trapped in the kitchen, and then they used AI to skin it so it has the bird-like effects in the feathers. It was still terrifying. So I don't know, like murder chickens makes it feel any safer.
Well, I would one of those. I think it was. I don't know if it was in Jurassic Park that they redid the sounds, but they got like like the crow sounds and then like slowed it down and lowered the reverb and stuff, and said that that's what dinosaurs should sound like, is more like bird sounds, and that was way more terrifying than like the growls and roars and stuff that they put in the films.
So what they did with that is they had people that were like auditory specialists look at the bones that were survived, and then they used AutoCAD to recreate the voice box, and then they recreated the sounds that way. I've dug so deep into that rabbit hole.
They did that in the third film, though, didn't they? That's exactly what they did in the third film.
I think you're right, but yeah. So the science has guessed what it might have sounded like, and it's still equally is like wow.
Yeah, I would hate that. There's a new film coming out with Ewan McGregor, actually, isn't it? Where they get transported back in time to the dinosaur period, isn't it?
What film is this?
I can't remember what it's called. It's like it's something Street. It's one of those.
That's actually, I know what you're talking about. It's like 34 East Street or something, but it's not.
Yeah, it's Ewan McGregor in it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not Back in Time. It's Alien Dinosaurs.
Really?
Yeah, that's the vibe I got from the commercial. I will link, dear listener, the commercial we're talking about. It was a sponsor.
They just dropped a new trailer, didn't they?
Yeah, they just dropped a new trailer. So you'll probably have seen it at this point, because by the time we air this episode.
So is that confirmed, or is that what is that the theory?
So when I saw the commercial or the trailer, it looked like it was alien type theme because the flashing lights in the commercial. And the way the streets just sort of suddenly end is cut off. Like, I mean, I guess going back in time could cause that. I asked Google the 34th Street because I thought that was the name of it, dinosaur movie. And it gave me a comedy about a mashing up Miracle on 34th Street, the Christmas movie, and dinosaurs. And apparently someone did the mashup. And I'm not gonna lie, now I'm gonna have to go watch that too.
Yeah, everyone go watch that instead. That sounds way better.
It's The End of Oak Street, I think, is the name of the show.
Yes, yeah. That sounds.
And it has Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor, and other kids, right?
I love Ewan McGregor so much. That's one of my main reasons. That would be, if you had to pick a fight between Ewan McGregor and Patrick Stewart, that would be the difficult one. But he's what is he? He's Scottish or something, isn't he?
Yeah, and it looks like it doesn't specify if they just says somehow transported. When I saw the flat, like the way the land was cut in the commercial, I'm like, okay, clearly this is aliens. But you're right, if the land settles, depending on whatever moved it, it could just be dinosaurs.
Yeah, I have no. All I know that there's dinosaurs in it. I don't know if they're alien dinosaurs, but that would be pretty cool. There's definitely has to be some sort of sci-fi element in it, doesn't it? For that.
Yeah, and
back anyway.
One of the things in the commercial, and we'll air it on the show notes, dear listeners, so you can check out the trailer. But inevitably, and this is real, so it works for me, is the middle of dangerous situation. Some people are in the too stupid to live category, and they just stare up as this thing is, slamming at them. I'm like, did it never occur to you to, I don't know, go away from it so you don't get eaten?
Yeah.
But no, sure, stand there and look at it.
Yeah. I don't know which one I would be in, to be honest with you. I would love to be I'm gonna own this one, but I feel like I would just completely gawk out. Because you want to see the dinosaur as well, especially if it is a dinosaur. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
It's true. If I do get eaten by an animal, probably my last words are gonna be here, kitty, kitty. There's a internet
it's good last words, to be honest.
Right, there's a video floating around in the mountains of North Carolina. This was like this. I want to say Airbnb, but it's not, because he cooks for him. So bed and breakfast in the mountains of North Carolina, and this lady from somewhere in the New England area walks out, and there's this mountain lion going across the property because they are in the mountains, and she's starting to walk up trying to pet this wild mountain lion.
Yeah.
And she was about to become dinner, and we only see it because because of insurance reasons, the guy that runs the bed and breakfast has cameras on the external as well, and he runs out because he sees it with a shotgun and starts shooting into the grounds to scare it off. And this lady was about to be lunch because she thought she could pet a mountain lion.
That is the poison of Disney movies, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. So it's like, you're gonna get those people. When I first saw him, have you seen the movie Independence Day with Will Smith?
Absolutely.
So the first one, when the aliens come, you get the people on the top of that one roof with the sign.
Yeah.
Even as they're getting lasers shot around them, and
slowly opening up. Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, nobody's that dumb. And then the older you get and the more you see, I'm like, oh, okay, there actually are people that dumb.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's scary. One of those films that I liked recently where it was perfectly like that was Don't Look Up, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio in it.
Okay.
That one was terrifying. Have you seen that one?
I have not, but I've heard of it. So
that was awesome. That's like an asteroid is about to hit Earth, and everyone's like, oh, all right, cool. Yeah, sure it is. It's like, no, you can actually see it. You can actually look at it. It's like, no, it's not. And then it's crazy. It's actually really good. I've seen it a couple of times now, and I actually really like that film. I had mixed reviews, but I've definitely enjoyed it. It was actually quite scary, to be honest, because it could be happening, and we wouldn't know because nobody believes it.
I don't know. I guess I'm a sucker for B movies, so it doesn't bother me. But what gets me is you'll get in these worlds, you literally watch I don't know, a representation of Zeus come along and talk to you, but suddenly none of it's real. I'm like, I mean, he was literally just right there. What do you mean you don't believe? It's sometimes the people's in the characters. I get you want to show the transition in a movie, book, whatever, from normal to what they accept, but sometimes they drag it out so long that it just doesn't feel right. It almost feels like, I don't know, just wouldn't a real person at a certain point in time just accept okay, I'm here, let's not die?
Yeah.
So
you would hope so.
I just added Don't Look Up to my movie list to go watch. All right, so because we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, we are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes. Coffee or tea, and how do you take it?
It would be tea, only because I'm English. That's another thing that we had to sign a contract at birth. You have to say that when being interviewed by an American. It has to be tea, 2 sugars and some milk.
So I actually stole the way we worded the question from a British podcast called Tea and Metals. And it's basically 2 former, it might be more than 2 now, but former British military guys interviewing people about how they earn their medals for heroism, because yours is the regimental system. You have sometimes parallel but equal award structures, because some regiments have awards, others don't. It's not as streamlined as the U.S. is, which there's beauty in that. So there's tradition that they got kept that's older in some cases than our country. But as part of that, there are so many different medals that could qualify, for heroism. So rather than limit it to just the very top one, any medal for heroism, they'll interview the people on how they got it. And then the opening question is how do you take your tea?
Really?
That's where I learned about the concept of NATO standard, which is the 2 cubes in the milk. I don't know. I've tried sugar cubes. It doesn't break up as well. Just give me a spoonful. Like I don't need the cube.
Well, I'm doing sweeteners at the minute. I'm doing sweeteners, and they do all right. They're a bit better. It's a bit better for your teeth as well, I think. Which is a completely boring
So I have been because I'm trying to lower the calories because I've been working on getting back in shape. I want to fit back in my uniform, not because I'll ever wear it again. I just want to know that I could.
Yeah.
Because you get 40 and you realize, like if I want to hit 80, like I better start turning this ship around. But the German rock sugar, and you don't need as much of it, like half an ounce is 52-ish calories, and you add that to your hot water for tea, and it's so sweet. It's like my southern roots approve. So because in the South, tea's supposed to be drank one way, iced and sweet.
Yeah.
Wilford Brimley's supposed to come back from the grave and slap you in the face and tell you about diabetes when you're done drinking it. And so like I've been using the rock sugar, although I wouldn't want to travel with it because it does kind of look like illicit drugs. And I could just imagine the cops like freaking out when they saw the rock sugar. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Taste it.
Lick it. It's good. It's good. Try it.
Although if we were really on drugs, we'd probably say that too.
yeah, exactly. It's not going to get you far, is it?
But yeah, it's so good. I worked as a barista at a coffee shop. That's how I first discovered it. That's how I paid for my bachelor's and my master's. I was working construction over the summer and as coffee shop during the school year. So it's something I stumbled on accidentally, and that's like it's almost candy. Like you could eat that stuff plain.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever tried it. Yeah.
You should. It's a game changer when you're talking hot tea.
It's like German rock sugar.
It's called German rock sugar. It's like an orangish brown color. I'm colorblind, but it looks dark. And then when you put it in your water, like at half an ounce in a 24-ounce mug, and you stir it in, it'll look like you added honey because it turns the water dark.
Yeah.
But it's not horrible for you either. And it does look like little rocks. It's the name. There's yellow rock sugar as well. I have not tried that, but when I was looking for a replacement, I checked Amazon and they had a bunch of yellow rock sugar as well. So maybe that's next month. I'll order a test sample of that too.
You can have it without sugar as well. You can do that.
No sugar? What do you think? They'll take away my American identity card.
I know. I was going to say that would be sinful in America, isn't it?
I know. Like no sugar. What are you talking about? Jeez, you trying to get me kicked out of my country?
I know. I'm gonna hang up on me straight away, aren't you?
So what kind of tea do you like when you drink tea?
It would just be going back to the start, it would be Earl Grey, wouldn't it? I was with my friends out actually. We were playing like not golf, but just hitting it into as far as you could in one of those ranges. And they were all getting coffees like lattes and stuff. And I was literally in the middle of watching Star Trek, and I was like, "Oh, have an Earl Grey, please, hot." And they were just fucking they hated that. They absolutely hated that. But that would be my answer: Earl Grey or just English breakfast.
Do you drink it with your pinky up, dignified?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the
only so the British tanks actually built room in for a kettle into their tanks for the tank crews. And so there's a funny video that I don't remember exactly how old it is, but it was obviously Queen Victoria was she the last queen?
Elizabeth would have been
Elizabeth, the one that just passed away. She was queen still because they hadn't switched to His Majesty. It was still Her Majesty in the video.
Mm-hmm.
And he was making jokes about the American because he has a teapot in his tank and we don't. It was so funny. And he timed it for they released that on the 4th of July, which was just perfect.
Are they going to add that in then? Is that the next?
So you'll get a kick. I told you my first publisher was British, and this is before DocuSign was as big of a deal. So he sent me a copy of the contract to print, sign in front of a notary, and then mail back to him because he had to have a print copy. It's one of those things where it took a little bit for the technology to catch up to the law and the laws to catch up to technology. And whatever, like it wasn't UPS, but whatever the international shipping company lost the first contract. So we had to reprint it. And because they had lost it and they admitted it was them, they're like, we won't stress the wait. Just keep it reasonable and we'll get it out. And so I ended up including, because it would have gotten to them right around the 4th of July. And the first year when we signed the contract, it was like Happy Colonial Treason Day. And then it was a T word that, family friendly. We won't say that one. And so when I sent him the contract, it was a postcard I got at the Boston Harbor, and it's in a Lipton's tea bag. And I'm like, found this at the harbor. Thought you might want it back. So yeah, it's one of those things that's you gotta laugh at that one.
Absolutely.
But He sends me every year the British Union Jack on the 4th of July, so I figured turnabout's fair play, right?
Yeah.
So I
You
don't
can't
even
really go
know.
out with that, can you, on the 4th of July?
No, absolutely not. Now, is it? I don't know if that's the one they flag. I don't know if that's the flag you guys fly all the time, or if that's like just a Navy ship flag. As far as your flags go, because you've got a couple of them
Yeah,
that
the
are
red, white, and
British
blue
flags.
one.
Yeah, and you got
Yeah.
the St. George flag that you guys use as well, which is the red and the white. And there's a third one that I can't remember.
Well, there's the Welsh flag, the Irish flag, the Scottish flag, and then the Union Jack one, which is supposed to be like the combination of all three of them, except for Ireland, I think. But at the minute, everybody's using the St. George's flag, but now it's like a super political thing that people are doing with it. It's ridiculous. So that's almost like a controversial question now in this country. Was like, if you've got a St. George flags outside your house, you're a bit like not very welcoming to foreigners and stuff like that. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I would think in theory, like, if it's the national flag, both sides of whatever political discussion should be able to claim it. So I don't understand why flags themselves are political. I get that it happens.
Yeah.
It happens here too.
Yeah.
But the logic for that, for the people doing it on both sides, never made sense. I'm like, it's both of your flags. Shut up and just, drink some coffee.
Yeah, just be happy with it. Yeah, it's fine. Everyone's welcome, man. It's ridiculous.
So is that something you drink all the time, the tea, or is that a special occasion for you?
I think probably beer is at the minute is more of the regular drink, which is sad to say, but yeah.
I mean, it's good
if it's in the morning, when you can't drink beer, you'll drink tea.
We one of our founding fathers, Ben Franklin, is famous for saying beer is proof that God loves us. So
absolutely, at least there is one reason for it,
right? He's not wrong. So, and he was, before he was an American, he was technically a British subject, so you can claim him too.
Well, we'll claim
there you go. You can claim the beer.
Idea. Well, yeah,
we'll
claim any of the good ones for sure,
or at least the good quotes, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what they have the joke where it's like, because if they're British, it's because they're successful. If they're from Scotland or Ireland or Wales, and they're not successful, they're either Scottish, Welsh, or Irish. But if they are successful, then they're from the UK. They're British. They're not English. They're not Scottish. They're British. So we just claim all of them. We claim all the good ones.
I mean, as a parent, you do that too. Like when the kids are great and they're winning the Nobel Peace Prize, like, that's my boy. When they're misbehaving, you look at your spouse and be like, that's your son.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is yet.
So it makes sense.
But it was like, I think it was like, my mum's gonna shoot me now. It's that famous tennis player. Oh, geez, Andy something. Oh, what's his name? Do you know anything? You don't have tennis over there, really, do you? The Wimbledon and stuff.
I mean, we do have people that play tennis. I just never did.
Oh man, I can't believe my mother watches it religiously, and when she watches this, she's gonna beat me for forgetting his name. But he's Scottish, and when he lost, we abandoned him, and when he wins, he's British. And this is why Scottish people want independence, because they hate us for it.
No, I thought soccer or football for you guys would have been the bigger sport over tennis.
Oh no, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. It's just for my mum in this household. It's tennis for sure.
Does that make her like almost not British? Do they like threaten to take away her passport now?
Oh no, I would say Wimbledon is probably one of the most British things you can do, is because when you go to Wimbledon, you have very famously you'll have strawberries and cream in the stands. That's like it. You have hot dogs. Get your hot dogs here. Over here, it'll be strawberries and cream. So it's quintessentially British. Wimbledon is.
Is it literally just strawberries with whipped cream on top of them, and that's it?
Yeah, like double cream or something like that. Yeah, it's far too posh for me to go to. Way too expensive to go to that. But
so, are you like eating that out of a bowl? Or are you like dipping it?
Yeah,
like
they give you like a little. They give you like a little tray, and you like scoop the cream onto the strawberry, and that's your game snack. Yeah.
I mean, sugar from the fruit, sugar from the cream, dairy, plant. I mean, that's a balanced meal, sure.
Oh, it's delicious. It is good. It is good.
We do strawberry shortcake, where you do like the strawberries and you like cover them with a little bit of water and sugar so it gets a glaze, and you let those set for a little bit, and you put them over shortcake bread with whipped cream. That's a dessert here.
Well, the Americans, you always have to take to the next level, don't you?
I mean, bread is essentially sugar when it breaks down. So yeah, of course we need more.
Of course.
I mean, it's just required. That's what you'll miss in the apocalypse, right? We'll miss all the sugar. Like, what do you mean this fresh food tastes funny?
It's ridiculous, isn't it? That is what we're mainly scared about, for sure.
Yeah. So, how did you get into one, storytelling, and two, like art, to the point where you decided to make a graphic novel?
Well, I think from this conversation, it's clear that my whole childhood would have been growing up watching all of these amazing shows, all of these amazing movies, and I think my family always had that sort of background as well. Like Star Trek and Star Wars weren't shown to me out of the blue. They were religiously handed down to me by my parents. And there, if you come see my house, my mother on her in her library, her bookshelf probably has about 20 different copies of Lord of the Rings. So the whole house was full of like gargoyles and ridiculous things like that. So everywhere you looked, there was just this sort of weirdness about fantasy and space and stuff like that. So I always grew up around it. And I know I'm still quite young, but even now, when I was younger, we didn't have the internet and stuff like that, which is crazy to say. So you would always try and actually escape into your own worlds. I think would have been my um thing, because I live in the middle of nowhere as well, so that you couldn't really go down to your mate's house and hang out with them. You would have to sort of make up your own fun, and I think that's just where it all just sort of bled into my life, and just growing up with fantastic movies and wanting to make your own world. And with the whole drawing stuff, I think when I was younger, I was maybe had a bit more of a knack for it, and that was the only time I would ever get like a pat on the back and oh, that's pretty good, well done. And that just fed my obsession to sort of as a people pleaser, and I just kept drawing because that seemed to be the only thing I was good at, and we sort of I love grew from it, and the two combined, and now we're here.
Now, with being in the middle of nowhere, does that mean you're near like some of the castles and stuff that it can flavor your love of
Oh yeah,
storytelling?
the closest city that I live to, I live in Lincolnshire, and that's and the city of Lincoln has used to be the tallest building in the world, and it has this humongous cathedral on the top of a hill, which you can see from miles away. So I'm about 13 miles away from it, and Lincoln is so completely flat, right? And Lincoln itself, the city, is just on this tiny little hill, and it's the only hill for miles. So from my house, if you get perched up enough, you can see this giant cathedral, and it's this massive Gothic architecture that's spiking out from the ground. And then there's a castle that go around it and stuff. So you could always, your imagination always wandered wild when you were walking around there. Very beautiful.
Standing in the footprints of history it's got to be kind of awe inspiring too, because so much happened.
Oh yeah, and Lincoln was we were talking about tanks earlier, weren't we? And Lincoln was where the tank was invented, believe it or not.
I did not know that.
It was, yeah. We have they definitely tell you that when you're in school in Lincoln. It's the only thing we've got. We've got a cathedral and we've made tanks, and that's what the Lincolnshire people are very proud of.
I know the name tank comes from is because they were trying to pretend it was water tanks to confuse the enemy spies.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how it just sort of stuck.
Yeah.
The World War I tanks, there's just something cool about them. Like I know the later ones are, some people think they're sexier and they have, better whatever, but just the sheer like resourcefulness of the people that created the first one, there's just something like I've got some bolts and some random metal. I'm just gonna make a machine of war because
yeah, it's going to completely change the whole planet for the rest of the history.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The tanks are beautiful things, so it's kind of cool. Is there like a museum to tanks near you then?
Yeah, they literally just made like a war museum here, where it's because we had like the Lancaster bomber here, which was super famous plane in the World War as well. And that's a very beautiful plane as well. It was one of those ones where it has like the ball turret guns on like the top and the bottom and stuff.
Oh,
And
cool.
that was such a cool looking plane, and it's sometimes you can see it. I think there's only like a few left that are able to fly, and there's sometimes you'll see one and it flies so low, and you just see it, and you almost think it's a spaceship because of how old it looks, and it's a very big plane, and it has a very weird tail, that comes out like this, and it has these two um perpendicular like fins on the side of it, and then it'll have these bubble glass shells with big turrets coming out of it, and you think that's so cool. just looks like a spaceship, really. Now that when you see it now that everything is so streamlined and sci-fi, this almost looks more sci-fi now.
So they the British government actually, or maybe it's the British civilian companies with the permission of the government, have actually started releasing kits for the Spitfire because it's such a popular plane for war enthusiasts that now you can buy a kit for $1 million if you've got that laying around.
Yes, I actually know somebody that's done that.
And just build your own. Or if you have one and you want to be able to repair it, you now have some repair parts.
Yeah.
And those are such beautiful planes too, like the World War II Spitfire.
Yeah.
There's something elegant and I don't know, classy about the older equipment. Like it's a different age, I guess.
I think that with cars as well. I literally was talking to my mom about this earlier today because they did. I'm not sure if you've seen the news recently about that new Ferrari, that new electric one that they.
Oh yeah, it looks hideous.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's utterly ridiculous. And I kept thinking to myself, like, everybody, they would make millions and millions of pounds if they just got like an old body of one of their classics and just put like a new engine in it, even if it's electric. Everybody would want that. Every single person.
They actually tested that on cars, but like there's a something iconic about the way old Pizza Huts used to look in America in like the 80s. Yeah. And they had a certain vibe to them. And they got one guy that he just redid all of his Pizza Huts in that style. He just brought it all back, like for retro and the nostalgia. And like he did so much, he had to open other locations because people were flocking to it.
That's so cool.
That ties into reading because it used to be when I was a kid, Scholastic Book Club was a thing that would come to your schools. And in addition, Pizza Hut would do this thing where if you read so many pages and your teacher signed off on it, they'd give you a free personal pan pizza, which is like cool. the lunch, like you get it at lunch at school, kind of little small circle. It's not even a full slice. But it was yours and you earned it. And of course, they made their money because when your parents came in to celebrate your reading with your free pizza, they'd order for them too, right? So that's how they made money at it. It's genius. But so I have very fond memories of going to the Pizza Hut with my family. Like I read.
That's almost like the origin of your writing career, isn't it? If Pizza Hut didn't exist.
You might be right.
So much. I would have read so much if that was an incentive for me here.
Well, that and my mom was a reader, and so like I remember like the day after I learned to cook because the day or two after library trip weekend, like you just did not bug her because she was reading, and if you bugged her, she might kill you. So we learned like, well, I can cook this. So my sisters and I and my brother would like take turns figuring out how to cook because mom was reading. And of course, it's not like she was ignoring us. I think there was some level of, tricking us into learning independence, right? Like, because it's like peanut butter and jelly or...
You've got to give her a break as well, haven't you?
I was like peanut butter and jelly or I could learn to cook whatever this is. That was a fun weekend trip when I was younger, was to the library. And I don't think younger kids quite appreciate like what that was like because one, we didn't have the internet, so we had to look everything up by the card, which meant if the card's catalog was messed up, you just didn't find it. You were limited by what was in stock, so you couldn't get like super niche. I'm only going to read about the one-legged, one-eyed pirates in space. Like that just wasn't an option. You had to take more broadly what was there.
Yeah.
So in the end, if you got a small town library, like you'd read everything in your preferred genre, and you're just reading other stuff because that's all there was. And I don't think people read as broadly anymore because they don't have to, because Kindle and then it's so niche, and ebooks aren't that expensive. And you can check those out from the library now. What's that?
I was just saying it's quite sad because it's a dying sort of thing now, isn't it? A physical place with physical books in it.
Sadly, yeah, but they've at least in the US, I know you can check out ebooks and audiobooks now. They have a server that they build up where you can do that. And so, like, I think they still serve a purpose. I still go.
Is that in like a physical space as well that you can go in and do that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
There's not as many of them. Some of them have shut down and consolidated as far as libraries go, but there are still some where you can physically just sit in there and, there's some comfortable chairs and just read a book while your kids explore or whatever.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I remember I have family who live in Liverpool, and I say recently, this would have been like 10 years ago now, but they made an absolutely beautiful building and turned it into a library. And I just remember going in there, just wanting to be in there. Didn't read a single thing when I was there, just enjoyed being in it, I think that's something that we should get back.
Yeah, I think, and it's, of course, it gets you off the internet to socialize with real people in real life.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's community building, I think, as well. There's something beautiful about a library. Now, because we got distracted and I had us talking all about food and beer and nerd stuff, I didn't have time for the commercial, so we're just going to have Mysteries of the Mountain Moon Tribe as our sponsor today, so we can just dive in. And with that said, I'm going to throw that cover up. How did you come up with the concept that is the Mysteries of the Mountain Moon Tribe?
I think what was interesting was when I graduated uni, I did architecture in uni, right? And I've always wanted to do something creative with my life. And I finished uni and realized I did not want to do architecture anymore. And so you were just left with this crazy problem where you wanted to create something like this. You wanted to do something with your hands. You wanted to be imaginative. And there was nothing out there that I could think of that I could do. Not I would never had any thought of doing a book, anything like this. And I was just emailing loads of different like animation studios trying to figure out what a job I could find. And this one man, Pete Saunders, who works for, I think it's Mackian and Saunders, I'm gonna butcher that name, but he do like the puppets for, you know, like Fantastic Mr. Fox and like Mars Attacks. And he gave me a ring to give me advice, and I wanted more than anything, my dream job would have been to be a storyboard artist. And I gave him a portfolio that had nothing to do with storyboards in it, just pretty pictures. And so he told me to go away and say, if you want a job in storyboarding, do some storyboarding. And so I went away and I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a little simple story, do a little sketches, put it in a portfolio and do it. And what came from it, what sprouted from it, was this book that I just came up with a tiny little simple story about a girl. And originally, this is about a girl and her animal companion, but it used to be a girl, a brother, and a sister making their way down this magical mountain full of crazy creatures to save their village. And it just blossomed into this really, really long book that took me years to make. And that's a very long story. That's why I apologize. But it just came from wanting to make something and to do a storyboarding job. And it just sort of became an obsession. And I just fell in love with writing and drawing a story, basically.
So, given the description, what would you say the target demographic is? Is this a kid's book, an adult book? Like, if you were going to rate it movie style, how would you rate this novel?
It would definitely, I would think about sort of Studio Ghibli films where sort of kids that age could watch it. So maybe not too young, but around like 10 or something like that, and then a bit older. But also, what I wanted to achieve with this book was, you know, from the pictures, that sort of more of like an art book as well, that you could sort of have it on the coffee table and you can flick through the pages because you like the drawings in it and you can appreciate the art behind it. So I like to think it's for one, for kids, because it's a nice little story, but also people that like that sort of creative fantasy, weird worlds stuff as well.
The art is really evocative. I like it. And you drew all of this by hand?
Absolutely, yeah. This is all on iPad on Procreate.
Okay, that's what I was asking when I said by hand. I know some people still draw like what with their hand. Other people do it digitally.
Yeah.
So you did
No,
it. You
this.
made the art digitally. Then you
Yeah,
drew it
exactly. Yeah,
on a
yeah,
tablet.
yeah. I don't,
So
yeah,
this
I think if I was doing it by hand, I would still be here on the 10th page or something like that. It'd be
so
ridiculous.
so this is some of the art that we're looking at from the show. I mean, it's kind of psychedelic. It's kind of trippy, but in a beautiful way. I like the colors. So I'm really digging it. It's definitely simplistic in the the art of the individual, like it looks like the fish with the saddle and the little kid on the corner. Um, but I think that actually makes it, I don't know, more endearing a little bit.
Yeah, well, the idea was almost like, yeah, because I was talking to you about the storyboarding, right? So I almost wanted the pictures, and I'm not sure if it was a conscious decision or it was just sort of happened, but it was more that I wanted the pages to look like key shots from like an animated film, you know, like a Studio Ghibli film. So if you pause on a Studio Ghibli film, you can see that the background is really detailed, but then the characters are simple because to animate simple characters is a lot easier than doing proper detailed characters, right? So I think my only exposure to these type of images was from those movies, and so I think I just sort of automatically fell into this sort of simple style for the characters.
I mean, I like it. I think it works.
Thanks, thank you. Well, because yeah, I did have some reviews on the book being like, it's like a completely different person drawing it. I don't like it, and then somebody else says, well, it's nice because if it was the same, you wouldn't be able to see the characters. It would just blur in too much. So it's to each their own, isn't it? But I think it's all right.
So, without spoilers, obviously, and while you talk, I'll skim through some more of the art. Like, what would you say is the plot of the like? What can we expect from this story?
So the sort of the simplified version of the story is that our main character is a young girl called Mia, who you can see in the bottom corner there, with her companion Frances, who's her animal companion, and she's born into this tribe that's isolated at the top of this mountain that seems infinite, right? And it's a tribe that's very bound by traditions and laws. And one of the many traditions and laws is that nobody's allowed to leave the village because everything beyond it is monsters and evil, and you're going to die, right? And Mia is what is called in the tribe the child elder, which essentially means she's the first in the generation. So in this culture that I try to create, what that means is that she's born first, and then the next child isn't born for like 15 years or something like that, so she grows up in isolation because then it's her responsibility to guide the next generation. She's the one that gives these kids wisdom and helps them with their problems and stuff. And so what we have is a character that's born into this role that wasn't chosen for her, and she's forced into it, and she sort of has this turmoil between um not wanting to do it and being completely crushed by this responsibility and pressure. And skip forward a bit, there's all this family drama, and essentially an evil curse happens on the tribe, and she's the only one that can save them, and she's the only one that can go beyond the village to seek the help of this ancient spirit that lives in the heart of the mountain to save them. And it's her journey down the mountain to discover the truth of her people, the world around her, and the origins of them both. And she sort of discovers something that will change everything and realizes that the world is a lot bigger than what's made to believe.
So I can definitely see the Studio Ghibli because that little arc on the bottom left has a very like Japanese shrine vibe.
Sure, yeah.
Was that culturally like? Is that something that you leaned into, like the Japanese Oriental culture, or did you kind of create your own culture for this?
Well, it definitely inspired by a lot of different Asian cultures. I send you some more pictures later if you like. But when there are pictures of the tribe itself, and they're all very Asian inspired architecture. I'm not sure if there was any sort of rhyme and reason or deeper purpose behind it other than just loving that part of the world and that style of stuff. But definitely it was inspired by that part of the world.
I mean, there's a whole generation of artists inspired by the anime that it's not surprising given your age. I like this one. This little skeletal alien thing is holding what looks like a globe almost. It's so big.
Yeah. This one is it's like a fallen titan holding like a dying star. I think it was one of the descriptions I gave it on the page. And this is sort of the secrets that she discovers towards the end, and then we learn what these places are, and everything that she'd been taught had been completely destroyed. So then basically the story is about there's this fantasy element. It's a very simple journey from beginning to end, but throughout the story it's about her dealing with this turmoil that's growing within her, and it's about her dealing with her anxiety and the pressure that she's under. And if I was going to ask somebody, if somebody was going to ask what was the like sort of the main lesson from the story, I would say it's wanting somebody to discover the truth for themselves and not just following what's handed down blindly from past generations, really. Not taking it as full truths,
Now, I'm assuming that this art is just clear of the writing that would go with a graphic novel, just for sharing purposes.
Yeah. So the book itself is actually, I think maybe graphic novel when when the publishers added it to the title might be a stretch, because every page on it is not split into panels. These are giant images that span 2 pages. So when you open it, there's the middle of the page is in the middle of this image, and each page is this giant spread and landscape, and it's not so much a traditional graphic novel. It's halfway between a graphic novel and like a storybook, you know, like an illustrated book.
Okay.
It's sort of like
Uh,
a hybrid one. I like to
this
think it's like a. Sorry, I was going to say it's sort of like a gateway to graphic novels, maybe.
which fits given your target audience was a little bit younger.
Yeah.
And if that's your goal, stating out, you are going to have to keep something more simple.
Mm, yeah. Well, I thought it's just one of the main reasons for the book. What I was going to say earlier as well is that I just wanted an excuse to actually draw cool things, and I think the cool things look better on a bigger page.
Yeah. This in the art that's the image behind the cover and this are two of my favorites.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones as well. Because what I've loved, properly fell in love with drawing and writing was that there was just like you could hint at lore, like deep lore and legends and history without actually having to do a lot, you know, and letting people actually discover what's going on in these images.
This one's a little bit trippy, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, this is a picture of an origin of one of the villains in the story.
But yeah, so with this art, like, would you say this is appropriate for all ages? I don't know. Remember if I asked that already.
No, I definitely, yeah, I would say so. I think there's some stuff like that one that you just saw on the previous image. Maybe, you know, I wouldn't say for like really, really young kids, but I think a lot of kids are a lot tougher than certainly when I was when younger. And there's nothing bad. I hope there's nothing that I think is going to be too scary or graphic or anything like that. But there were definitely with that other picture where it was that person's face, that's sort of like a cyborgy thing, you know, and it's this is a what on this page is a backstory about a big character that's having a very hard time. And this is giving the lore to this villain. I don't know if the well, one of the points of the story is blurring lines between what is a villain and what is not, you know. So this is a troubled character, should we say?
Okay. Um, so who are the main characters? Is it just the young girl and her spirit animal?
Yeah. So Mia is the main character, and the book is all written from her perspective. It's almost like she's writing a journal, and it's her accounting of what's happening. Like as I said, like her job that she's born into, her role is this child elder. So the story that the way I wanted to write it was almost saying it from her perspective, that this was a book that she was going to give to educate her tribe on what the truth is, what's actually out there, and what her journey was.
So is this a standalone novel, or are there going to be more graphic novels in this universe?
That's a very good question. At the moment, it is a standalone, but there have been definite sprites of inspiration of a prequel that I would have liked to do about how the world became how it was, because towards the end of the book as well, it becomes more of a post-apocalyptic sort of dystopian sort of world, and a prequel would fit lovely into the sort of the origins of the world. And then I really wanted to do a prequel and then one afterwards um, that sort of concludes the arc, because Mia is the main protagonist in this one, and then there is the antagonist as well, but she's not really in it as much. It's sort of she causes a problem that they try to fix, and then they try to understand this evil person, right? So then there would be a prequel that would sort of lighten her history of why she became the person she did and why she's doing what she's doing in this book, and then a sequel that would tie these two people together to do something. I'm not sure yet what they will do together, but something cool, I hope.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. Um, did the story or the art come first for you?
You know what? It's the art did, and that was a massive mistake because I would draw sort of the storyboards, as I told you about. I had the original storyboards, and it just kept developing, kept evolving. So I would have the drawings first, and then have the loose story in my head, and then start writing the story, and then realize all of these cool pictures that I've done don't actually make any sense in the order that I put them in. So now I need to keep. I've written some. I've drawn all of it. I've now written something, and now I have to add more drawings in between these drawings. They just kept getting thicker and thicker and thicker. It was ridiculous. So the drawings came first, but in the next one, I'm not doing that. That's for sure.
How big is this book?
This book is, I think, I'm not sure how many pages it is actually. I have the document up here. It is 129 pages ish. That includes like the front cover and stuff like that and chapter pages. So it's like 120 pages. Not too crazy.
Okay.
I think you can read it in a day or two.
I mean, it's beautiful art. I could definitely see where, some of these pictures would be a cool framed picture on your wall. Is that something you also plan on doing? Selling some of them as prints?
That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. At the minute, it's every moment of my time has just been sapped from doing promotional work for this or writing the second book, which is a completely different story. But yeah, prints would be awesome. I almost wanted the why I loved doing this was because I have all of these digital drawings, but you have to go out and print them, and that costs a lot of money. So making a book is almost cheaper than having to pay for a bunch of prints.
Yeah. Would you live in this world if you could?
Absolutely, that would be. I think one of the things I was achieving with this book was actually trying. Every time I was drawing, I was like escaping into it and being like, "Oh, this is nice. This is where I would want to be," because it's sort of a very utopian world with built on a sort of dystopia. So it's yeah, it's a cool world. It's a nice world to be in, I think.
Okay. Are you going to keep the same art style if future books come out?
I'm not sure actually, because if I should have sent you the old photos of what the book used to be like, because this book probably took me about 4 years to draw and write all together because it kept developing and it was never finished, like we spoke about earlier. And the art style when I first did the first page to what the first page looks like now is just completely and utterly different. So I think it will evolve, but it will still be weird. Anything that I'll draw will be weird, just maybe different tones of it, different textures and stuff.
Are you familiar with Lisa Frank that used to do those Trapper Keepers back in the 80s, that style of art?
No, I'm not actually.
I'll have to send you some examples. I remember this looks like the kind of stuff my sister had on her Trapper Keeper when we were kids. It's just that kind of bright and trippy, like in a good way. Did you find your storytelling was limited because you didn't have as many words? It was all just the visuals?
I think so. I'm not sure if it's to shoot myself in my leg saying this, but the reason why it's a children's novel is because my when I started writing this, my writing skills were still slightly underdeveloped. So I think it was the only limitation was me at the time. I think I wrote as much as I could and then just split it out evenly on the pages so it wasn't so dominated by the text. So there's little text on the pages and it's a smaller book, but I think I got everything that I wanted to say in it, sure.
Okay. Is there anything about this story that we didn't talk about that you think we need to, other than buy it because the art is cool?
I think buying it because the article is definitely a good selling point for a lot of people. But one of the other things that I loved about writing the book was so we spoke about Mia being the child elder, and her whole job is to sort of like endow wisdom to the next generation, to her people and stuff. And I was mentioning that this is sort of like her diary and her accountings of her journey that now shapes the future that she's going to inherit. And a lot through the book, there are sort of her talking directly to you, or that there's a lot of little quotes where she's basically giving you advice. And if you feel when you're feeling really shit, when you have this deep anxiety, or when you're needing to find your courage, this is what you should do, you know. And it's sort of, I wanted the book to be something that you can have on the table, and if you didn't want to read the whole thing, or if you've already read the whole thing, that you can turn to a page and there'll be a cool picture, but then also like a nice sort of inspirational quote, or a quote that will make you feel seen almost, and heard and understood, and then maybe some wisdom to help you through it, you know.
Yeah. Was that intended, the life lessons, or did that sort of come as a byproduct?
That came a bit after, where I was like, if I don't know, it's just to be sort of Mr. Quotable, I think would have been nice. Or it was just to be. I was definitely going through hard times during the 5 years that it took to be finally published. So it took me like 4 years to write it, and then like 5 or 6 years to actually get it in front of people. And so a lot of
You're seems to be muted right now. You're outgoing. So you said it took you about 5 years to get it from start to out to a publisher. All right, you were.
write it, and then about 6 years to get in front of people. And so there was a lot of things that were going in my life, ups and downs. And I think when I was writing the book, especially when I was having a hard time, I sort of started to write things that I needed to hear or wanted to hear, or things that I was suffering with and maybe overcame. And so wanted to write some advice for other people that might be going through it when they read the book, you know, and sort of have this hand that was reaching out saying, you know, you're not alone in it, really.
What has been your friends and family's reaction to having this novel out? Because it doesn't require as much of a time investment as in, like, I say a proper novel, but that sounds derogatory. Like, if they're
No,
going to
no,
read one
it's
of my
not.
if they're reading one of my novels, we're talking 100,000 words, and it's a
Yes,
time
it's a
commitment. Whereas
completely different. Yeah,
this is probably, they, even if they're not into this kind of story, they could read it relatively quickly, I imagine.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So what has your family's reaction to you getting your story out?
I think they're all completely biased, and I don't trust a single thing that they say about it. Yeah,
So were they surprised though that you ended up getting this published?
yeah. Oh no, definitely. I remember coming down. My mum was in the garden, and I had I must have sent hundreds of emails to different publishers with the final book finished. Or it was not even the final book; it was the second final book, you know. And I've finally got offered a contract. I actually got offered like a couple contracts, but they always want money from you. They want an upfront cost for you to pay them to print it
That's
and
not how
things like that.
publishing works.
Yeah, but there was just the one publisher that came to me and said, "No, we'll give you a shot, and you don't have to give us any money, and we'll see how it goes." And I said yes to them, and I remember my mum just being like, "Oh, bloody hell!" Many cuss words in English that we won't say on the podcast, but she was very happy. Bless her. She's definitely yeah, a huge one of the main reasons this is even possible to do this. So I'm glad that something actually came from it.
It's harder
Something
to
might
make
go
it's
on.
harder to make your career in the graphic novel space because they take longer to produce per
Yeah,
size, just because it's, you're drawing something. Whereas, like, I could dictate mine quicker and get a novel out in the time it takes you maybe to do a couple panels if I'm so inspired.
yeah.
There have been authors who write a novel in a weekend, kind of thing, right? I just can't imagine you being able to draw all this in a weekend.
No, it would be physically impossible. I think the page you're looking at right now was probably taking about 27 hours to do, and each page was over 20 hours to do. So it was the problem was where I started it and I didn't realize how much work it was, and then I just so incredibly stubborn where because I started, you just have to finish it. You just have to keep going because then you have wasted your time, you know, if you just let it die and sit there.
How
So
did you, like, keep if it's taking you that long to draw? How do
yeah,
you keep the image in your head enough to keep consistent image by image over that length of time?
oh, it's always in there. I don't. I'm not sure really. There's always a sort of catalog of ideas in my head when I'm doing something like this. For example, like in the second book, now that I'm sort of writing it out, I know exactly what I want the drawings to look like. I can see the sequence in my head already. Like it's not like it's sort of a question of how do you remember it, because it just doesn't leave. I won't forget it. I just know what
I would like to do. And then it developed. But the nice thing about it is that it evolves and it develops by itself. You know, you almost don't want it to be too constrained and say, oh, it's coming too far away from the original idea because I've forgotten it. You know, it's nice when it evolves and it changes, I think. So
Okay. If people wanted to track you down and follow you on the wild, wild interweb so they can go, buy the book among other things, where are you at that they can find you?
I will be on Instagram and TikTok at Ruedi.arts. So RUEDI.arts, and you'll find me there. And I'm always happy to say hello to people if they have any other questions.
Okay. And this is your debut novel for you, correct?
Yeah, this is the first one. This is the first of many, I hope, because yeah, this is literally the dream job. This is absolutely awesome to do. I absolutely love doing this, and the second one's going to be even better.
Any plans to do like word novel, chapter books, that sort of thing? Or are you going to stick with the graphic novel format?
Oh, it always have to be sort of illustrated, I think. Yeah, definitely. I love because at the minute I've really gotten into reading. I'm reading like the Magician series, the Ritual Saga by Raymond Heist.
That's good.
Thanks. He's have you read them?
I have. It's been a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely fall in love with those books. My mum was she's literally the only person that will tell me like what to read. So I did all of the Harry Potters a few times, and then Lord of the Rings and a couple of other books, and it will always be one of her recommendations of what to read, and this was her main one that she tried to force me to read, and I always said no, and now I absolutely love it. And doing this now just made me realize I just could not do it. It's just completely another level, a completely another skill. And I just love doing the drawings. I just love the whole reason of doing these stuff is just an excuse to give a purpose and a lore behind the cool drawings, I think. So it will always be this type of thing, I think.
Okay. This is the part, dear listener, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your minds on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books. So do your part. It really does make a difference. And with that, you can find us on our link tree, linktr.ee, linktree/Blasters and Blaze podcast. Again, linktree/Blasters and Blaze podcast, where we link to all the things: the BitChute, the Rumble, the YouTube, the Twitter, the TikTok. We've got our Blasters and Blaze Facebook group and Facebook page. You can email us at blastersandblazepodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandblazepodcast@gmail.com. I feel like I forgot something because my PC froze, so I'm just going on memory. But Substack and Discord, there you go. You can email us at blastersandblazepodcast@gmail.com for professional purposes only, people. Save the shenanigans from Adam Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put a comment section that is for the podcast, and I promise I will keep them duly caffeinated. And maybe I'll get them so caffeinated Nick can give up on sleep and come back on the podcast and still work his 80-hour weeks for the boss man. Who needs sleep, right? Sleep's for the weak. And with that, I would like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy and absent co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blaze podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, and we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. And with that, we're out.